Hi everybody, I'm back. I am going to put together one of these little Jailhouse rock guys. It's an order that I'm working on. I actually used string for his guitar. It is fishing string, believe it or not. My husband fishes, so I went in and stole some of his fishing line and used it as guitar string. It is going to be 0.25 millimeter. So they have string for beading and string for a lot of things at Hobby Lobby as well. And then the definition with the dark gray to the black, because the outfit on the computer is black on black, but I didn't like that you couldn't see where the variation of the hat to the hair went. And also I wrote on his little inmate tag because it's so small that the Cricut was giving me issues trying to cut them out, so I just went ahead and did it by hand. Everything for him is dark gray, and I'll show you what I mean by that, except for the shoes and the hair. So this guy's all cut out, but before I start, I want to show you guys, since you guys liked my micro mini buttons, I did find them on Amazon, but I went to Hobby Lobby yesterday, and you guys know that I just did that gingerbread page, but I found more buttons to go on the tags for my gingerbread. And then I found cookie cutter buttons as well for the page, for my little Christmas pages, and candy canes, as you can see. But aren't those so cute? And they're not very big, but I figured that they would be cute on a tag with maybe some ribbon behind them. I got those yesterday when I ran to Hobby Lobby. If you wait until next week, their stuff goes on sale as far as Christmas. Now, I don't know if you guys remember me telling you, for some of my pieces, I do ink the edges when I have a darker piece laying on a lighter piece, and on my main pieces. Everything he has on is dark black, so where that's gonna lay, I went ahead and just took a Sharpie and colored the edges. Now, for the outfit, this is the color that they are. It is Thunderstorm. Let me look. Now I forgot. That's the Porsche. When I put paper on my mats, I actually cut out the name and put it on. It's just Thunder. That way then when I go to replace the paper, I know what color was on it, so I can just go ahead and find that same color. To darken these up, I took Catherine Pooler's Blackjack ink, and all I did was go over it. I went over it fairly well. That way it went ahead and gave it some darkness, but once it dries, the dark gray actually pokes through and it sits on the black hair with definition to the borders, thankfully. I'm gonna wipe this off. As you guys know, I work on a glass mat, but somebody asked if I could do the eyes just so they could see how I do them. And what I do is, after I get my first little guy done with the eyes, I cut out a bunch of eyes on one sheet. I just pull off one of the sets and I put the eyes over this set on the edges, because the white is under the black overlaps the white on the inner edge. And I just used a piece of cardstock that I cut real thin to put the eyes on. That way they're all spaced evenly apart on each set, and that's because I don't want one with eyes super close together and another with eyes super far apart. And as far as using the fishing string, I used my Cricut tool to poke the holes on just my little foam mat, and then I used some washi tape to hold it down while I was working on it, and I left the washi tape just on the base of the guitar where the head meets the neck. That way that doesn't come off, but the washi tape is glued actually under this top piece of cardstock I cut along with the string. And on the back, I cut it shorter than the guitar base, but there's just another piece of cardstock I put over where they actually were inserted. So they're glued twice, once on the front and then same thing on the back. I cut out 2 of these pieces just to make sure they stay, because they are movable. As you can see, I can shift them. Not that I'm going to play this string guitar, but you guys get the gist of it. At Hobby Lobby, I found a couple things though for her, because her Hobby Lobby is always naked, but I figured that these would go with her page. I offered them to her because I could always find a use for them. They were half off, so it was only $2.50 per each one, but I figured that they would just go perfect with her Elvis layout theme that she's doing. So for the eyes, I use micron pens, 01 to trace and 005 to actually do the eyelashes. And I place the hair down just so I kind of have an idea of where it is before I trace the eyes on, because I can always move the eyes up underneath the hair. So knowing that the one piece of hair is going to come down, and this looks like a pretty good length, I guess, from the top. I'm measuring my 2-inch because that's what I use for heads. That way all the detail can be seen more. And I'm just placing the eyes in the middle before I trace them, even though that doesn't look like the middle. There we go. All right. So all I do is I trace them on. And the piece of paper holding them together in the middle does make it a lot easier to trace and hold it down, and then picking it up with tweezers, because sometimes the ink from the pens will bleed, and I have drugged them across the face and actually ruined a whole piece because I had drag marks. So lesson learned. This is still drying, so we'll let that dry for a moment. And I just put a little note to myself, trace eyes. That way I can tell the difference if my topper's not on my pen. Now, because it's a boy, I didn't go with super long lashes. And for the lashes, let me go ahead and zoom in. As long as I remember to zoom out, right? Okay. I do 2 short strokes from the inside, and then 1 sort of long stroke, and then I alternate short and long on my way down, just to kind of keep it even. And I try to do 6 long ones because it does take it down to the bottom part of the eye. That way you don't have all that empty space on the bottom. I do concentrate on my eyelashes just because I don't want them uneven. And 1 final one. And then just 2 little lashes down on the bottom to kind of finish filling it in. And that's it on the eyelashes. Practice makes perfect. Sometimes I do make them a lot closer, but with this being a boy, I don't want him having a full set of lashes. Now for the eyelashes, if I can find my paintbrush, because I do use a paintbrush for the ink. I have more. It might have fallen out when I was shuffling things around. So I'll just grab another one. I use pan pastels, as I was watching Connie, who has Prairie Paper Crafts. She actually introduced this on her channel on a video that I seen, and I love the pigment of it. But I just take a little fine paintbrush that I got off Amazon. I think it was $9 for 24 of them, and there's all different shapes and sizes that come in them. There's flat brushes, round brushes, eyelash brushes, but those have probably 3 hairs at the tip of them. That's more for somebody that paints and needs fine lines. I'm only using this for chalk, so I use which ones. They don't have sizes on them. There we go. But I do glue this part. I just run glue around it. That way the bristles don't open and fan out while I'm trying to do the black line with the chalk. And I just found that that's easier for me. I guess you could tape it if you don't want to glue it, but I knew that the glue is going to stay no matter what, so that was a choice I went with. And I've already popped my eyes off of my sheet. I don't know if you guys watched the last video, but I took these eyes actually come with him. This is Jailhouse Rock Set, and I used this style and size of eye, and I cut out roughly, I think 100. That way then I'm not always constantly cutting eyes out, because I do use this on quite a few paper pieces. If I'm not doing Franklin Bears, as Franklin Bears I use the eyes that are flat on the bottom and a half oval, I guess, on the top. But that's all I do for the eyes. It's super simple. I just throw some glue on the back. I got this off of Amazon. It's just a fine tip glue bottle. They do have 18, 20, and 22 gauge, and this is the 20 gauge. I am going to order the 18 just so that way I have a bigger tip for more glue on, per se, my pictures and bigger pieces instead of a 20 gauge, as is super fine. Micro eraser came from Amazon as well. It's mono 0. You can just put in micro pen eraser and that'll pop up for you. It does have an option to buy it with refills. I think it was $15 and it came with 2 refills. And then I glue them down just so I have a small white area that's standing out on the side of him. I'm gonna glue these down and then I'll show you my cheat sheet, as I call it, for my dots in my eyes. And you'll wonder why you never thought of this. I don't know the size offhand, so I will have to get back to you guys. But for the big dots in the whites of the eyes, I cut out a whole sheet of them. I think it's 0.08, but I will go ahead and get on and play with it in, well, I just have to actually pull it up. It's saved in my projects in Design Space, and it'll tell me how big I made these little circles. And what I do is I just pull them off, but I attach them to the top of his head because I don't care if there's any gum residue. There's a little gnat. Gum residue on it. It will mess up the eye when you're going to chalk it. It'll have a bald spot. Now, I put glue on my finger. You're gonna think I'm weird, but it's that way I don't end up with all the excess glue. You know when you push something down, how glue shoots out from every angle of it and you don't want it to? That's the only reason I do this. And this is so I have more control of the glue. And the little bit that does, because I didn't wipe that one off, I just use this to take it off. But I do have another tool that I got from Joann's. I do not know what they're called because I got the pack and I threw out the package. They have silicone rubber tips. It's called Imagine. That's what the stick says. And they're over by the inks and everything with Tim Holtz and the finger daubers, but that gets off my extra glue. And then I also have my gummy eraser from Hobby Lobby, as I see one spot that I touched with my finger and I don't want it to not pick up chalk. And then I'll show you guys what I use on the cheeks. So pan pastel again, and this is going to be for the eyes. I dropped it the other day. Shame on me. My hand decided it didn't want to recognize it was in my hand. And all I do is just take a little bit of white and dot underneath on the bottom of the eye, just to kind of give it some more dimension and depth. I use my fingers a lot to get excess everything off. Glue, ink. I actually do it on the white ink as well with the white ink pen. I just found that then you don't have surprises with how much chalk, glue, ink is gonna end up on your piece. That's it for the eyes. Once you repeatedly do them over and over, it's just super simple. I use the Jelly Roll pen. I'm using the 08. They do come in 05 and 10. If I'm doing other projects, I do use either the bigger or the smaller tip. The 05 is for super tiny dots. If I wanted to add one more tiny dot under here. The 10 is a lot larger. It's really good for tracing and detail. I actually used it on the guitar to go around where the white piece was gonna fit. That way it was even. I traced the inner part of the white line because that came out of the white. I traced the outer part of that. That way I knew where to lay this white piece of paper. Otherwise it would have been all sorts of crooked. Now, I use ink, or chalk, excuse me, from Stampin' Up. It came out of the pastel set. That was glue. I know they're retired, but you can find them on eBay. There's a lady that has a bunch of them. And I just put it in a little case. That way I don't have the whole thing of chalk sitting on my desk. And when I ink the cheeks, I just do the outer to the inner, to where the mouth would be. I don't get all crazy on it. And the light pink, actually the carnation, it is just the right amount for these little guys. It gives them just enough personality. So what I did with the trumpet to this, I can close my glue for a second. Excuse me. I went ahead and cut it out on white, flat cardstock. That way I could then lay the gold cardstock over it. As I knew that I wanted it to be gold, like it is in the picture, I went ahead and cut it out twice. That way I could just lay it over the top of it. I have something on here and I'm not quite sure what it is. That's odd. Okay. I'll figure out what that is. I ran it through the Xyron sticker maker. That way it's the same size, but it gives it more stability because the gold paper is not cardstock. I have yet to find a shiny gold. I have gold Sharpies that I use at some point, but I used actually those for the outline of this. And I had glue on my fingers, so I'm gonna wipe that off. There we go. And then this piece goes right over the tip here, but I have to put the other gold piece on. And then we're just gonna glue him together and he's finished. I have to pull up my computer screen as it went to sleep just to make sure that that's what this piece is for. Sorry for reaching. I need... Nope, I gotta go back. I have a touch screen, sorry. Where is the other way? Nope. It doesn't want to let me go the other way, so I guess it's not there. There he is. Okay, yes. That other piece does go on the end. That works. Trash can. And I am gonna put glue on the back, but I also noticed with the gold, if you glue it down to anything without anything behind it, it is going to ripple or bubble, almost like it was wet. And it goes this way. Okay. I would have glued it on the wrong way. As you can tell, I did sports, softball, swimming. I did not do band, so I'm not much help there. Wouldn't have known. But this is it for the trumpet. He'll be holding that once he's finished. Now for this part. What I do is I trace around the leg pieces so I know where they go for the glue, just so they're not uneven, where one's shorter and than the other. That way when I put glue on it, I can just go ahead and lay it down and it's no issue at all. I will post this when he's done, because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me glue the whole thing together, or you guys can change channels. I don't know. I don't want to make you guys watch me do all this. I just wanted to show somebody the eyes that had requested it. I guess I can just finish this. It'll only take a few moments. This is the easy part. I waited for the pieces to dry. These are the gray pieces. The ones that I inked the top of them, I did just wait for them to dry. That way I could put them on. I didn't want to put glue on the back of them while they were wet. I didn't saturate them, but any little bit of moisture to paper, you know what it does. And his shoe pieces go on before the actual shoe. Sometimes I just throw glue on the bottom here, knowing that I'm going to use this whole bottom area, but just for content purposes, I'm gluing the back of this instead of my peach paper. I don't worry about excess glue on here because the shoe is going over it, and I just wipe it off the bottom. But I pick it up and I just push with my fingers just to make sure that it's on pretty even. And I know on this, the side of the shoe actually comes way over on one side, and that bugs me with my perfectionist self. You don't have to remove it, but I do. What's going to take a while is putting the white lines on this. So I will not sit here and do all that, but I'll just show you by laying the pieces down now. And I'll post the finished product up when I'm finished with them. So the arms are going to go down first, the sleeves. They're going to get glued down. And when I talk about the stripes, the only reason they're not staying is because there's no glue. There are stripes that come on him like this, and what I did is I ran them through the Xyron as well so I could just stick them down. I made a template where what I do is I take a white chalk pencil, I lay this down like so, and I just take the chalk pencil and go over in between at the top and bottom. That way I can make them pretty even. So after let's say that the shirt was done, then what you'll do is you will lay the head down. Just kidding. What you're gonna do is actually put some glue on the back of his face. The piece that looks like a nose is actually his neck. And now you would glue your head down. I'm gonna put the nose piece on. And then you would glue the hair. It's only moving, like I said, because he's not glued down. I just want to help you guys see the piece in entirety as if it was already glued. Then the top of the hat goes down, and then the brim. And what I did for that is I actually ran a little bit of chalk around the hat and the brim on the other one, so I'm going to do it on him as well. That way it gives it more definition, so you can actually see where the hat brim is and not. These are the shoes. I can glue the shoes on because they don't need the stripes on the jumpsuit. They just go like so. I use art glitter glue. And all I did for the shoes was add some white highlights to the top parts. I still have to clean up the other one just because it was a quick put together. And then I'll take my white ink pen, gel pen, sorry. And run my little line on both sides and then on the bottom outer corners. So his hand actually will be holding a trumpet. This hand is over here. And then this one is just holding it right there. And that's it. Now just imagine him with all the stripes. Those take a little bit. So with the stripes, what I do is I lay it over the shirt. I go ahead and trace inside with a white colored pencil. I have one right here. This is General's pastel chalk pencil. I love it. It's not a colored pencil, it's a chalk pencil. And what I did is I just went inside and I scribbled where these were. And then what I did is I laid the sleeve next to it and I slid the pieces. I didn't glue the shirt down. I used the arms. Here, I glued the arms down. But what I did is I overlapped the shirt onto it. And let's say the line is here, I would just then slide the piece under the shirt to line up with the shirt so it's even. It's a lot easier than it's showing, and it's just because all my pieces are loose. But I'm gonna go ahead and glue this together real quick so I could get it posted. Thank you for watching.